Hey, you guys, what's up? I'm sure by now you've heard of this tragic story in the state of Georgia of a young couple whose child was basically dismembered as they were, and she was trying to give birth to this child. This wasn't an abortion, was dismembered as she was giving birth, and the head basically was removed. It's a very, very tragic story. We put some of the some notes and all that on our community page, so make sure you check that out. But we're going to be talking about this, but this is part of a much larger conversation that we had on our most recent broadcast, where we were talking about the need and the importance for us to take complete control over our health care. And that's not just rhetoric, that is an action point. And the broadcast that we just did recently, we talked about the action steps that need to be taken in order for that to be done. And so I'm going to play some clips of that broadcast for you. But I also wanted to let you know, too, that we did get in contact with someone who's like an insider, who's been in the industry of midwifery, being a doula for a long time. And she is going to just give us a lot of information. And so we're going to have her soon. I would love to have her tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. She's a very busy woman, but we're going to do that. But tonight, so take note of the date. So tonight, we're going to do the first half of this two-part series, if you will. We're going to actually have you listen to a mother who had experience on both sides in the hospitals and how she was treated versus giving birth with the doula slash midwife and all of that. So tonight we're going to do a two-part series. Nicole and I will be playing that audio so you can hear that. And then later on, what we'll do is probably over the next few days, we'll have the interview with this individual who has many years of experience in this area, and she'll be able to give us even more insight as well. And like I just said, this ties into a much bigger conversation that we've had as far as what do we do now? What are the practical, every simple steps that we can all take so that we can regain control over our health care? And so that was just one part of a much larger conversation that we had. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna play some highlights of that broadcast, but please make the time to watch the entire broadcast. But the clips I'm gonna show right now are gonna be featured mainly in the section about healthcare. So check it out, and I hope to see you soon. So let me go ahead and pull up here exactly what I'm talking about. All right, I'm just gonna go through it. It's very simple. Okay, so how do you move to a mindset of war? That's what we're going to talk about. How do you move to a mindset of war? But anyway, so let's go through it. All right, what we're going to talk about tonight. Know who your enemy is. Know who your enemies are, and know your allies. Okay, we're talking about war, right? You want to get into a battle mindset so that you can win, right? We can move from where we are and move into a lifestyle of winning and victory. I'm talking about for black folks, right? You want to move into that? Are you serious? Okay, let's talk that. Let's do it. I've already started off this conversation demonstrating my own life and what we've been doing. So I'm not just talking here. I've already demonstrated many of these things, and I got a lot of room for improvement. Okay, so yours truly ain't just talking here, okay? All right, so know who your enemies are and know your allies. Second point, remove all enemy propaganda from the camp. This is going to challenge just about all of y'all. Because if you're about victory for our people, then you're going to have to be serious about all of these points here that I'm raising here. Then we got to move into education. The next thing is healthcare. Healthcare wellness. That's the next thing. And then other infrastructure. Other infrastructure, that's
I would say is economic. All right, we'll touch on that. And all these ain't going to be long and drawn out, y'all. I'm going to be very pointed tonight. Okay. Then the next thing is defense. Developing defense. Developing defense. And if you think that I'm talking about going to gun ranges, I am not talking about that. Okay. And then the last thing is, what is the mission? And you notice that's the last thing. Because if you've seen, I didn't see the latest Top Gun. I really don't have any interest to, unless I stumble on it or something on Pluto. That's that free television thing. I'm really not trying to go out my way to see that movie. But, if I may come across it, I may watch it. I don't know. It depends on the situation. But anyway, if you watch like Top Gun, for example, you'll see these guys go through all this intensive training. And it isn't until the end that they're called in and they're like, okay, now here's the mission. That's the order that we're following here. Anyway, healthcare. This is a whole nother situation here. This is something that I'm telling you, I have noticed this. I don't know if many of you have noticed this, but I've certainly have been noticing this over the several years now. Anytime I go into the grocery store and I go into the market, I see too many of our people, and they ain't even that old, having to ride these carts here, the motorized carts. And like I said, again, I ain't talking about 90-year-old. I'm talking about people I've seen in their late 40s and early 50s riding these carts. Now, if you got to ride it, you got to ride it. So I'm not shaming you if you got to ride these things. Okay, I'm not. Please don't take it that way. But what it speaks of is that our health, for the most part, is something that we seriously have to and we must address and take control over that. And in order to do that, we have to have a mindset that excludes government interaction at every turn. I do not no longer want to work with the government. I don't want to work with any kind of a medical association that has a partnership or is getting funding from governments. I don't want to do that anymore because we have too much access to information, too much access to resources where, quite honestly, most of the time for the ailments that our people suffer from, we don't need the government for any of that. We don't. One of the things that we've done on this platform, again, is two things. One, we created a group of people who are herbalists. We provided access to someone who is a licensed herbalist, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the actual name, but she, teaches foraging and all this other stuff. And we provided that for our people or whatever. Anybody want to come, you can get the training on that so you can learn how to find the medicines and the food that you need right outside of your own backyard. So that any medicine that you need, you don't need to go anywhere else. You don't need, I need the doctor to give me my pills because without my pills, no, you don't. And if you are a person that's dependent on that, then you need to learn how to wean yourself off of that safely. Okay? Safely. But if we expect to start turning the tide when it comes to our health as a people, we're going to have to take serious measures, such as what I'm saying right now, is that we're going to have to wean ourselves and we're going to have to disconnect ourselves off and away from any government medical intervention when it comes to our people. We have to wean ourselves off of it. I know it's very addicting because the pharmaceuticals that they give us is addicting. But we're going to have to wean ourselves off of that. Okay. So the same thing when I say healthcare also bleeds into mental health care. There are times that we have raised, we talked about, the importance of addressing mental health. And I've had some people, you don't need to talk about that because see, it's just nothing but the blood of Jesus. All we got to do is pray it away. Lay our hands on these people. And that mental illness is just a demon. That's all it is. Just lay your hands on their head and it'll go away. Well, family, let me tell you something right this second. I know many parents who have children that are suffering from things like ADHD. They spend hours laying their hands on children that are suffering from these diseases like that. and they still are dealing with that kind of stuff. What answer do you have for them when that doesn't work? Let's put that mess. Come on now. Let's be real here. And some of my parents right now who have children that are suffering from this kind of stuff, you know what I'm talking about. I feel for these parents because I'm telling you, the stuff that they got to deal with day in and day out and day in and day out, they love their children. But it takes work to raise up children that are dealing and suffering from that kind of stuff. You're going to sit up here online and simply tell them, oh, honey, all you got to do is just, it's a demon. You're just going to have to get rid of it now. You're going to have to lay your hands on it. But what if after you do that, that ain't happening? Well, we got to take initiative, a stronger initiative. What else can we do? What other resources that we have at our disposal? Is it diet? Is it something that they are putting in their bodies that's tied to that? Is it something, is it, are we dealing with parasites? Is it a parasite-based condition? I've heard people say that, it's still, they found that people who suffer from this, they have a high level of parasites. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm saying there are all kinds of possibilities that are out there that as a people, we have to take the initiative to investigate and look into this stuff ourselves instead of waiting for these doctors. Because I told you, we got some good black doctors out there right now, but a lot of them are on the bag. They're on the payroll and they ain't going to tell you everything. I'm just going to keep it a buck. They ain't going to tell you everything. They're going to tell you what massa tells them to tell you. Honey, just take these pills and keep it moving. Don't ask any questions. We got someone in the chat here. Someone said, if anyone knows of an herb or anything natural, that can cure it, please let me know. I've looked to it and I fasted. I prayed. It's still there. What kind of answer do you have for someone like that? Let's talk real talk here, man. Let's talk real talk about this stuff, man. Got folk out here want to lose their mind over a chair talking about, oh, this is a spiritual moment. Okay, let's bring it down to something tangible. How does that translate to helping an individual like this here? How can we provide some solutions for stuff like this? Do you understand what I'm saying? The good thing is that the answers are out there. We just have to commit ourselves to looking for them. Because I truly believe you look hard enough, you'll find it. If there's already been cures for cancer that they've found, trust me, there's a cure for ADHD. I know it is. We just have to commit ourselves into discovering it. Do you know there are plants and herbs that have been, quote, unquote, undiscovered on the continent of Africa that they still don't know what the heck it is and what it does? I'm trying to tell you what's out there. That's in Africa. Same thing can be said in the Caribbean. Same thing can be said in Central and South America as well. I mean, they got certain plants. They're like, I don't know what this is. I know it just shows up every night. When you start looking into it, it's like, oh, snap, it does this, that, or what. You understand what I'm saying? But it's not just taking an herb. It's a combination of diet and all that other stuff. Healthcare. Healthcare is a big one. I'm trying to keep it short, y'all, to the point. Hope you're getting something out of this. Healthcare. What's another issue in the area of healthcare? Well, most of us, we are in a westernized culture, which means that that a lot of the foods that we're ingesting and we're taking are not foods that are conducive for our bodies. So a lot of food that we're getting and we're eating has things that are added to it that is making us bigger and fatter and more unhealthy. So you see a lot of us out here, we like, yeah, look at her, she thick and all this other stuff. And we like talking about that. But on the real, if you're going to fight a battle, a real battle, are you healthy enough to do it? Can you amass a real battle and you are 100, 200 pounds overweight? Let's real talk. I'm not trying to shame folks who are overweight. I'm overweight. Okay. So I'm in the same club. If you are reasonably healthy, I'm talking about like you ain't got no handicap, like you're in a wheelchair, of course, this don't apply to you. Okay. If you got some serious and severe knee issues, this clearly doesn't apply to you. I'm talking about the regular Joe, the regular Jane out here. You just haven't been in the gym in a moment. Can you go up the steps without being winded? See, if you want to talk about war, you want to talk about battle, then the people who are doing the warring, the people who are doing the battling, you got to be healthy. You understand what I'm saying? You got to be going to the gym. If you're not going to the gym, make you a home gym. If you don't have the money to get the weights, can get some books and start lifting those. Do something. You understand what I'm saying? You got to get yourself healthy. You understand what I'm saying? Do what you can. But you got to take your health priority. It's got to be a priority. Going up, down the steps, do something. And that's what I'm doing. I'm over 50 right now. And I said, listen, I see my daughter, she going to the gym. Guess what? I'm going to start going to the gym too. I may be over 50, but guess what? I'm going to go right up there and I'm doing my thing too. I'm going to go up there. I may not be going, ooh, I ain't doing all that. I ain't trying to impress nobody. I'm just trying to make sure that I ain't winded just taking a few steps going up the steps. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if I'm like that, I am in no condition to defend my family. Because you got a lot of big people out here talking about, I'm going to defend my family. I got a gun, and you about big as a house, and all you got is a gun. What if you got to chase somebody down? Can you do that? Or you going to be falling out and rolling all over the place because you can't catch up? What if you got to raise some crops? What if there's things that you got to do that's manual labor? Can you keep up? You understand what I'm saying? So our health must be, if you're in a war mindset, a battle mindset, your body needs to reflect it. Now, again, for our people on handicap, for our people who got some other medical, issues that, it's a little bit more impossible. Obviously, this doesn't apply to you. We understand that. But the things that you can do, you should be doing. You know the areas that you can be working on, and you need to be working on that. You understand what I'm saying? We got to wean ourselves off of depending on Mr. Charlie or Dr. Charlie to take care of you. What battle plan have you ever seen in history where the enemy has made an agreement to take care of your people? See, I literally don't understand this when I talk about it. I literally don't get the logic and the science behind this. I don't. Maybe someone can enlighten me in the chat. I don't understand. I've never seen a battle strategy where the enemy has made an agreement with you that he's going to give your people health care so that you can be taken care of and you can live a quote unquote healthy life. How many of our people have you seen go to the doctors for years and years and years and still are dealing with some of the same stuff? Two of the things that we've committed on this platform is to destroy diabetes and to destroy high blood pressure. I've been saying this for a good minute. For those of you who've been following us, you know we've been saying this. And we have been already seeing signs of people getting restored in these areas. Not because you subscribe to my secret channel where you got to pay me $50, $100, $200 a month, and I'm going to give you the secret codes on how to do this and that to hear my secret teachings. No. One of the things we did on our platform on Threema is that we said, listen, people who have the skill set, the knowledge, the understanding on how to wean, people who need help in, let's say, going from, let's say, being dependent on the pharmaceutical stuff and switching over to herbs and also switching over to cleaning up your diet. We're gonna have we're gonna have something set up to where you can be partnered with someone that can help put together a plan for you, something that you can follow so that you can make the adjustments. It's not just we gonna just tell you and that's done. No, you're gonna have someone that's gonna walk with you through the process to help you to make the adjustment. Because see, this is the kind of work and strategy it takes. You understand what I'm saying? When it comes to helping our people wean off of this stuff. But we can't do everything. We just can't. It's impossible. So there's got to be a serious, very intentional thing where we say no more to depending on this system to take care of our people. Because how many more stories do you need to hear of people suffering from quote unquote side effects from pharmaceuticals and from medical malpractice on our precious sisters who are having a baby and then they end up both of them dead? I'm tired of talking about that. We need to gather up our midwives that are out here that love themselves, number one, and also love these sisters enough to make sure that our sisters who are with children or with child will have a safe and wonderful experience in giving birth. You have many examples where that is happening, but we need a lot more of that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that everything I'm saying is doom and gloom and it ain't happening. You have many positive examples where this is happening. What I'm simply saying is we need more of it. That's what I'm saying. All right. Just trying to stay right on point here. Okay. So diabetes, high blood pressure, these are things that, yes, can be destroyed. They can be annihilated. We don't need their pills to do that. Because all the pills that they give you is designed to keep you on their stuff. We want our people off of it. Period. You understand what I'm saying? I'm very serious. There's no reason why our people should be suffering from diabetes and high blood pressure in 2023. No reason at all. These are two things that in most cases can be annihilated just like that. But it takes commitment. And it takes getting with people who do know, particularly people who are licensed and have the skill set and the demonstrated track record of doing that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we ain't just talking. I'm saying you got to have people who have that. You understand what I'm saying? And people who aren't scammers either. You know what I mean? Because you got a lot of scammers out here too. Let me see. Almost finished here. I'm going 2 hours. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, defense. What are we defending? When you look at the way when a army is going into battle and how they line up the military, how they line up their soldiers, who they put on the front lines are the men. Okay. Well, so the men, we're putting together the men. You get your strongest men and you put them on the front lines because that is what we are here for. This is how the Most High created us. This is the intellect, the insight that he's given us, is to be the defense of our families and our communities. Men. Not gendered confused men. Men. I want to be very clear with that. Men. Do you understand what I'm saying? So one of the things that we have to get correct, we got to get cleared up here, is we got to come back to the created conclusion that the Most High established is the man, the woman, and the child. That's the family unit. And if you have a problem with that, then so be it. You just have a problem with that. But the men are to be the ones that are in lead and are defending everything else. That is not the conclusion of the matter. The other side of that isn't that women are in the kitchen and barefoot and pregnant. No, 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 because the women are right there too. But I'm speaking for the men. Now, there's something that I was sharing with my wife. I'll just share this kind of in very general terms, very, very general terms. What you see happening today out here is when it comes to a lot of this energy that's out here. And I was, like I said, as I sat back, I always like looking at people's reactions and responses to things, right? And just see, and it's really always fascinating. I'm always like people watching, right? And just particularly our people, and taking note of how we react and respond to things. And when you look at our people, or just, I'll just say society in general. Okay, this is a very general statement, so I'm not just talking black people here. What you see, what happens is, you remember the post that I posted yesterday? It was about that guy Will I Am. I'll pull it up right quick. I'll pull it up very quickly here, because it speaks of a much bigger issue. This is what he said here. Hold on for a second. All right, so y'all familiar with this guy here, Will I Am. He said, coming of age, I didn't have a man in my life, a father in my life to guide me through that. My mom did that, which probably made me ultra feminine. I have no shame in being super feminine. I remember in the 90s, we don't have the support in the LGBT community now that we did then. So growing up in the 90s, we were like, are you gay? Let's see. A lot of people questioned me because I was feminine. I'm still feminine. I sit the way I sit. I act the way I act. My mannerisms are my mom's, he explained. Now, what happens is when the father isn't present, see, a lot of times people want to conclude that if the father isn't present, that means that the male children or whatever, they're going to grow up gay. That's not true. What it means is that when there is a lack of masculine presence in the life of a child, and I'm specifically speaking of males tonight. Females, it applies to you differently, but it's still, you are just as impacted. But just for this part of the conversation, I'm speaking about males. So he's a good example for this. In his case, so when there's a vacancy of masculine presence in the life of a child, a male child, what then happens is there's an overcompensation of feminine energy that this male child will get. Now, sometimes people will look at that and say, well, that means they're just going to turn out gay. That's not true. Sometimes that may be the case. Other times it will show out in many cases, they may not appear or act or be, they may not be gay at all, but they may be very high on the emotional part where it's hard for them. They don't know how to control their emotions. They just all over the place, right? Like all of a sudden, this one thing just sets them off completely. It just go because so you got the feminine energy combined with the lack of the masculine there that's there to say, you know what? Hey, let's calm down here. Let's figure this out. Okay. So the emotion in reacting to it is justified, but let's figure this out so that we can get a solution. That's the masculine energy coming in. But when the masculine energy isn't there, what happens is you just all over the place. Plus you add the masculine energy, the aggression. Now you done created something, a whole different thing. This is where you get all of this, you got these guys out here that are like, what was it? There's some story that just happened recently, or it happened a while back. Some singer or whatever, her boyfriend shot her in the foot because he felt disrespected. And so now he's going to be in prison, well, at least they're saying right now, for 10 years over that. How many instances we can point to where we got young brothers out here that just go off over some of the most minor of stuff? It's because they, in many cases, are lacking the masculine energy in their lives to teach them how to steward, how to manage that feminine energy, if you will. And like I said, some people get triggered. What are you talking about manage? Exactly. Just like the other way around. Our women, you get that you have the masculine energy, you also got the feminine energy. That's why you got a mother and a father. So both of them have to learn to compensate with one another. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when one is missing, there's going to be an overcompensation. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this applies in both cases. If it's a young man, if it's a young woman. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what's happened, unfortunately, is this. This is how this plays out. So we have a society now where our young men and our young women, you know, you come across somebody that's fine and they look good or whatever, and you just going to just, you know what, they good and stuff. They good people and all that. I love them. I'm just going to go ahead and get married to them, you know, and you get married. And then you get married and not realizing that they are coming with some level of damage that hasn't been addressed, that hasn't been healed. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then what happens is it ends up coming out in the marriage. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's why you have a lot of marriages where they are right now. And what I'm saying to you is that this is something that we got to pay very close attention to. There is a reason, and I'm going to leave it there. There's a reason why when you look at monarchies, when you look at all of these royal families and all of that, do you understand how when you look at these royal families, they ain't going to let just their daughters and sons just marry anybody. Honey, they're going to know, okay, really? You dating so-and-so? Okay, here's the blueprint. Okay, this is his mother. This is his father. His father comes from this person who came from that person, who came from that person, who came from that person. And then the same thing goes the other way around. The mother comes from this person, who comes from that person, who also comes from that person. They got all the details so that when that marriage comes together, you already got the idea and understanding of what to expect. So it's not a Russian roulette when it comes to marriage. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they have standards on how they marry and who they marry. They ain't gonna let nobody just come in if we don't know the father. If the father we don't know where he is, oh, well, then you just ain't gonna be married. You ain't gonna come up in our family. No, sir. No, sir. Mm-mm. You don't know who your mother is? Oh, no, you ain't coming up in my family. Now, am I suggesting that if you don't know who your family, your father and mother is, that you can't get married? No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is this is something that we have to take serious. And it is very serious when it comes to marriage and relationships and having that knowledge and understanding of family lineages. Because when you don't have that understanding, when you don't have that knowledge, you don't know what you're connecting yourself to. You don't know what you're bringing yourself into. And like I said, these monarchies and these royal families, they've been known that. In a lot of these cases, they may hate each other, but they're going to make sure they know, okay, who the mother is, who the father is. They're going to know, they're going to have all that information. And what I'm saying is, as a people, that is something, that's an area we're going to have to really look at that. When you're really trying to build legacy, that is something that we're going to have to really look at. This is why it's imperative and important for us to make sure that this is why healthcare is so important, particularly in the area of mental health care and all of that too, because we do have a lot of damaged folks out here who came out of situations like that. Some of these people don't even realize the damage that was done because a father wasn't there or a mother wasn't there. They don't realize just what's happening. Now, you may be functional and going out and doing your thing and living your best, but still there's a deficiency there and you need help.